How are we doing today, ladies and gentlemen? We are back for another rendition of Cubs Daily. My name is Steven Ryan. I hope you had your seatbelts strapped in yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, because that was a wild roller coaster of emotions. We're going to get all into the game. I was there. Wrigley was electric per usual. But before we get into all that, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to give a big thank you to all of the support, the comments, the likes, the subscriptions to the channels. Appreciate every single one of you guys. I want to hear in the comments down below, what was the wildest Cubs game you have ever attended? I would say that might have been the wildest Cubs game I've ever attended. I've attended a pretty few good ones. I'm not trying to brag, but I mean, I was there for Zambrano's no-hitter. I was there on June 29th, 2007, when Aramis hit a walk-off home run to get the Cubs kind of back in the NL Central chase. I was there 2 years ago when the Cubs were down 8-1 and Nelson Velasquez hit a game-tying grand slam to make it 8-8, and then the Cubs went on to win 13-9. It was an absolutely emotional day. Obviously, my son Luca was there in attendance. So I want to hear your guys' favorite game you've been to, wildest game, etc., etc. So let's hop into it, ladies and gentlemen. I thought it was going to be a perfect day. My son and I and my wife, we went down. We got to play at the park at Wrigley. We walked around. I even took him to his first bar. He was flirting with all the waitresses, etc., etc. Get into the ball game. The game is cruising along. Carson Kelly home run in the second. You know, my son handled the noise incredibly well. I'm very, very proud of him and how he did at Wrigley. He only really cried once, and I think that's just because, mom wasn't holding him. But again, it was 2-1 entering the seventh. And then Ian Happ hits a grand slam to put it 6-1. And me and my dad and everyone were like, sigh of relief, extend that lead a little bit, get some breathing room. And then the Cubs tack on another insurance run, right? They get that RBI single from Michael Busch off the Kyle Tucker triple. Hashtag extend him. Then the eighth inning happens. And I was like, as soon as it's 7-1, it's like, okay, cool. Sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, you can't fake desperation, right? Like, so when the Diamondbacks come up to the plate, their hitters are even more locked in than usual. 3 straight singles. We pulled Jordan Wicks, who was called up, and he just not major league debut, but season debut yesterday. Porter Hodge, the most reliable member of our bullpen, came in, gave up a grand slam to none other than Eugenio Suarez, who absolutely murders us on a daily basis. I think he has 6 home runs. They're all against the Cubs this year. Grand slam, 7-5. Then, another single, and then a double that gets under Gage Workman's glove. Before you know it, ladies and gentlemen, it's 8-7, and then Lourdes Gurriel Jr. hits a 3-run homer to make it 11-7. And I'm just like, here we go. This is unbelievable. Again, 10 runs in the top of the 8th. In my head, I'm like, we just got done dropping 5 in the bottom half. Like 15 runs in 5 outs of baseball. Absolutely blows my mind. And then the bottom of the 8th happens, right? Nico Horner, hit by pitch. PCA being patient, draws the walk. Carson Kelly, 3-run bomb. Game on, as Pat Hughes says. 11-10. Ian Happ gets on. And then, like I said before, ladies and gentlemen, hashtag extend my boy Kyle Tucker now with the go-ahead home run. Seiya Suzuki tacks on the insurance, and Ryan stress-free Presley, baby, just comes in and shuts the door on an absolutely hectic day at Wrigley Field. And I'm dead serious, ladies and gentlemen. That game had all of the emotion. My son experienced what it was like to be a true Cubs fan. You know, a lot of excitement, potential misery with just a disappointing effort in the end. Again, the wind was blowing out, but those balls were hit hard. Eugenio's ball went beyond the bleachers in a sense. That ball was crushed. And, Kyle Tucker's home run was crushed. Carson Kelly hit 2 home runs. Those balls were smoked. Those were no cheapies, ladies and gentlemen. Those were no cheapies. Obviously, the ball flies different when the air is light and going out, but no cheapies nonetheless. The ups and the downs of being a Cubs fan, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure this works for all the other teams, but I don't know. It just feels more impactful when there's 39,000 faithful just riding on every pitch, and you just never know how the game's going to go. The game is never over, especially when the wind is blowing out at Wrigley Field. So That game was just wild. I was beyond frustrated for that whole eighth inning. I'm like, we just can't get anyone out. Sometimes that is the way it goes. I always try to remind myself that it's baseball. You know, you can't control everything, but I mean, the ball under Workman's glove, the Perdomo single to shallow right center field. Dansby gets on it, but he doesn't have time to get the ball home. Just an unbelievable series of fortunate events for the Diamondbacks. But then the Cubs answered, and you could just release that stress that was just built up for the previous 10 runs in that game. Just an absolutely crazy game. Go watch the highlights if you haven't watched them yet. Man, that was just nuts, ladies and gentlemen. So, I said it on the way home. My wife is having our second daughter, and I know that day is going to be emotionally draining. And the day my son was born was emotionally draining, and the day I was married was emotionally draining. But yesterday was up there. I'm just gonna say it, ladies and gentlemen. I was driving home, and I'm like, I'm tired. I'm very tired. I'm sure my son, who slept for 12, 13 hours, he was tired. He took a lot in yesterday. He enjoyed every second of Wrigley Field, I believe. He loved walking around. He kept pointing. He's saying, baseball. You know, he enjoyed every second of it. Dinner later that night, he was playing catch with my dad with a napkin. He loved throwing it. He loved seeing all the action. You know, I thought the crowd noise would scare him, but I think he got used to it, which is fantastic because he's going to have to get used to it coming to Wrigley, baby. So there were some fun historical notes that happened yesterday, and I kind of want to review them with you. I got 3 of them, okay? So the Cubs, since 1900, are the only team to allow a 10-run inning after the 3rd inning and win the ball game. The 3rd inning is the caveat. The Cubs gave up 10 runs in the 8th. Usually that's not enough time to pull off the comeback. Then the Cubs are the 10th team in general to give up 10 runs and come back to win the game since 1900 as well, which is also crazy to think about, right? Now also, if you guys noticed yesterday, Ryan Pressly got the win for the Cubs. And you're like, how? They took the lead in the bottom half when Ethan Roberts was the last pitcher that was on there. Well, Ethan Roberts, he gave up 1 hit, 1 home run. He did get an out, but apparently, I did not know this. This is a very, very low-key Major League Baseball rule. It is up to the scorekeeper, okay? If the pitcher that was in before has a short and ineffective outing, the scorekeeper does not have to award them the win, which is wild. So he gave it to Ryan Pressly, who quote-unquote was the most effective pitcher of the day for the Cubs, I'd say, besides Colin Ray. But obviously the Cubs lost the lead, so he wasn't going to get it. But yeah, the scorekeeper awarded Ryan Pressly with the win instead of Ethan Roberts, when traditionally Ethan Roberts would have got it. Ryan Pressly would have got the save. All in all, but no, the scorekeeper said, no, we are going to give that to our friend Ryan Pressly because he was the more effective relief pitcher for the Cubs that day, which is just crazy to think about. So baseball has a long history, a lot of wild and crazy statistics, but yesterday had a lot of implications on that history because that yesterday doesn't happen every day. They play a lot of baseball every single year. Yesterday doesn't happen every day. So coming off that emotion, ladies and gentlemen, we have to reassess, straightforward. We got another ball game today, and we are going to be facing Zachary Gallen. He is one of the best pitchers in all of baseball, ladies and gentlemen. We were able to get to him, I would say, last time. I was just confirming that we are at 120. We got Zach Gallen versus Ben Brown, ladies and gentlemen. We were able to get to him last time a little bit. Doesn't mean we're going to get to him this time, but it should be a solid day. It's going to be a little bit chillier. The weather, it's going to rain a little bit. Ben Brown was absolutely fantastic in his last start against the Dodgers. I want to see him continue that progression, right? He struggled against the Padres, dominant against the Dodgers. I don't want to see the every other thing with him. I want to see him get some good rhythm. Again, I don't need 6 innings of 6 strikeouts and no walk ball. I just need 5 innings, give up a run, Run giving up is going to happen, right? That's just the natural beast of the game that we play. I didn't anticipate the Cubs to win 2-0 yesterday. I was hoping so for a quick and easy out, but again, it's not expected. Baseball has a lot of twists and turns involved in it, and you can expect probably maybe the same thing today because Zach Gallen is a beast. Cubs might struggle against him, especially just, again, a natural decline coming off the emotion of yesterday's win. It's hard to bounce back from that. I'm going to be honest. Like, they're all professionals, and you got to expect it, blah, blah, blah. But as one of my favorite podcasters, Ryan Rosillo, says, you can't fake desperation. I'm not saying the Diamondbacks are desperate by any means, but I would be a lot more locked in if I lost that game yesterday. If I scored 10 runs in the top of the eighth, because they're saying that too. They're like, we scored 10 runs in the eighth. We should have won that game. And technically, they're not wrong. Any inning you score 10 runs in, Little League, high school, college, or the pros, you should win the ball game. I'm dead serious. So they might come in a little bit more locked in, a little more patient. They might be seeing the ball better today. If the Cubs can bounce back and just take another win, take this series win, we will move on happily and get ready for our series against the Dodgers and Phillies coming up. So that is going to be the preview for today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. And go, Cubs, go, baby.